up, Simonics? Welcome to a new quick win. Today we're going into the parallax image effect, which you requested a few weeks ago when we had the header disappear tutorial. As always, the full code to this tutorial is linked below and available for all Ionic Academy members, and otherwise let's go into the video. So what I did so far is I've started a blank new Ionic application, and the only real modifications I did is first of all to generate a module for a directive, since we need to generate this effect inside a directive, or that's actually recommended, and then create the actual directive. So once you got this, you got a new folder, directives, with a shared directives module. Usually if you generate the directive after the module, it should already appear right here in the declarations block, but we also need to export it here. And once we're done with this inside the shared directives module, we can go to the home module, in which we import the shared directives module. And then we can use the directive we created wherever we want inside the home page. So in general, we want to add an image to our page, and we want to scroll out the image slower than the actual content. So from your perspective, if you scroll up, it goes like a bit like this. So the content is above the image. And for this, we of course need first of all an image. I thought it might be a good idea to simply have this inside a variable, because we'll use it as a background image. And in the past, I think, or in general, I think this is like the more dynamic approach. If you have like a static image, of course it works basically the same, but usually you might have an API with product images or something like this. So let's do it like this. Now we can go into our homepage, and to the Ion content, we first of all add the name of our directive, which should be in the beginning app parallax header. Of course you can change that, but we will just stick to this. We also need to output the scroll events from the Ion content. So we need to set scroll events to true on Ion content in order to catch this scroll up or scroll down. Then for the setup, we need to actually introduce two div elements. Let's call the first one, or give it the class parallax image. And for the background image, we can directly set it in here. So that's what I meant with a bit more flexible approach. So we could define all of this just in our SCSS file. But if we do it in here, we could use it like this. URL, pass in your variable, which is my image path. And then we need more brackets and close. Okay, so it's a bit complicated. It's basically a string inside the string, but that should be fine. We don't need anything else in here. We will just style this from our homepage as CSS now. Right now, we actually don't see the image yet, maybe because we haven't added the styling, but don't worry. Let's continue with the main block. So this is where you would put all of your content. This image will be more like in the background, and the main block will be above it. So inside main, do whatever you want. I just came up with a dummy list. Actually, I found this way of creating an array right in here without anything inside our TypeScript class file. So thanks to random person on Stack Overflow, this is really great to create an array of 30 elements for testing. Really happy about this actually. Now, moving on to our homepage SCSS for the background image, I think the rest could be set from here. The height, just pick whatever you want, maybe 30, 40, anything that works for you. And for the main, we also need to set a background color, because otherwise, well, let's comment it out and you will see. And the position absolute, so it moves above it. Actually changing or not changing the background image right now doesn't do anything, since we haven't really added our parallax effect. But so far we got the list and we got the image, and now we want to make the list scroll basically above the image, and that's where our parallax header directive comes into play. First of all, let's define a few variables. So we will grab a reference to the header. Actually, I think that's like the element ref. Not really. I think it's the native element. What's the type of the native element? We will find out. So within our onInit, we will get first of all the content by using this dot element native element. This is only the ion content. And now from the ion content, we need access to our div object right here. We can do this in different kind of ways. The easiest for now is simply to use content get elements, no code completion, thanks, by class name. And the class name was Parallax image, hopefully. And this will usually give you a list of items, and we want to use the first one from that list. I actually don't know why for native element we don't really have any code completion. It's always of the type any. Yeah, makes me kinda sad a bit. Well, so that's our element. Injecting the element ref is just inside the directive the element on which we put the directive. So in our case, ion content. Now we need the DOM controller from Ionic Angular, which helps us to efficiently make DOM writes, because you could always say perform this change on our DOM object right now, but that's most of the time not the most efficient way. You can do this more efficiently by using the DOM controller and calling either read or write, which will then schedule it inside the usual redraw flow at the best time. So it's like telling Angular, okay, please perform this operation when you're ready for it. It's usually quite fast. It's not like you're waiting for it 5 seconds. So this is really the best way to build the most performant animations. But for now, we don't want to write something. We want to read something like we did in our header height tutorial. And we want to get the header height by getting it directly from our header and calling client height. So that's what we used in the past as well. Should work fine, hopefully. Yeah, well, great. Let's look this dot header height, and there we go. So that's actually a log we should already see. Let's see. Did we actually apply the directive? I'm not sure. Yeah, we used it. So no logs for me today. Okay, maybe it's not really triggered for whatever reason, because it usually should be, but let's just heat on. We now need a way to listen to the ion scroll events, and we in the past did this right here inside the directive, but actually we can do this also with our host listener, and we want to listen to ion scroll. This will give us back an event, yeah, spelled a bit differently, and we call a function here, I need to be careful with the brackets, on content scroll, and inside we should have access to the actual event. So let's give it a try. Maybe it works now, otherwise I'll just reload. Yeah, that's what I thought. So let's reload it. I will actually use already Capacitor in the background. You can simply run ionic build, npx, cap add iOS, Android, whatever you want, and then run the live reload for Android or iOS. For iOS, I actually found this little fix source map fault, which helps to debug through Safari because I often lost connection. So a lot of little things in this quick win. Now let's keep this in the background. Okay, yeah. That's right. Let's do one more line before the live reload comes up. So the really interesting part of this event is actually hidden inside detail scroll top. That's the difference. We moved or we scrolled from the top to the bottom or back up. So therefore, let's also look this and see the value, because that's really the most important part for our calculation. Now we get the logs. Okay, we get a log for the height in here, and once we scroll, we see a lot of events, and we see the scroll value coming in here. Let's go to the bottom, and if we move up again, we also see different values. So based on these values, we will now transform the image, which we already can access by using our header, and we will wrap all of this inside the DOM controller function. And this time we of course want to write to our DOM. What we want to do is, first of all, we want to check if the scroll top is bigger than 0, which means we scrolled somewhere down, or actually I think this only affects iOS in the end. I can bring in my view from the device as well in a second, because on iOS you can pull this up even more inside the browser. It's not working, it's always a positive value, as you can see. But on iOS you can actually drag the view even more. But this is like the usual case that happens. And in the usual case, we want to set two values. So we want to move the image, but of course we want to move it a bit slower than scroll top. So therefore I will just divide it by 2. You can try 3 or you can try 1.5 and just play around with it. Something like 2 or 3 actually works best, I think. And then also we can scale the image. In the general case right now, scaling doesn't make too much sense, I think, but in the iOS case, it actually kind of makes sense to scale the image a bit bigger when you're beyond the actual border of the view. I don't know, what's it called? Bounds, I think. So let's keep it like this. Let's actually leave out the else block for now. And then we can go to the most important part, which is calling our renderer and call set style. So we want to set the style for, of course, our header element that we grabbed. What we want to perform is we want to set the WebKit transform. Okay, Simon, please no typo in strings. This is really something that hurts. And then I will bring it in because I don't want to make any mistake right now. I will put it into a second line. So we will call on our header WebKit transform. We want to translate 3D first of all, which just moves our image a bit up by using our move image. Remember, it's only half the speed of the content scroll, so that will give us a nice effect. And scale for now will be just 1. So let's save this and let's check it out. And we should actually already see our parallax effect in place. You see, the image kind of stays there. It's not like it's completely scrolling out. If I would change this to 1, that would be like the usual behavior, I think. So that would just, no, that would just keep the image in place, which looks horrible. Let's do 3. So the higher value, the faster the image scrolls out. So right now, it's not a huge parallax effect, it's a tiny bit, so 2 really did work quite well. If you also want to scale it at the same time, like making it perhaps bigger or smaller, you could do something in here with scroll top and a little division as well. But I think usually the parallax effect looks like this, where the image is just scrolling out a tiny bit slower than the rest. Now, I also wanted to show you this on my real device. So there it is, which looks quite nice already. And for iOS, you can see I can now pull this view even more up. And usually inside applications, you see that the image then scales a bit up. And that's what we will do in our else block. So let's set move image to something, well, I figured out this might make sense. Maybe I'll comment it out so you see the problem. Let's just do the scaling for now. The scaling of the image should be minus scroll top, because scroll top right now is a negative value in that case, and we want to make it positive, and divided by our header height. And this expression can actually be 0, and you don't want to scale the image to 0, so put a +1 at the end. And now I can now I can actually, I should be able to actually yeah, wild clicking is my favorite. Let's comment in move image, although I don't think that was the trick. So move image will just move the image a bit more to the top when you go in it. Because otherwise I had this white line above it and that looked kind of bad. So, and it actually doesn't even work without moving. Maybe if I just set it to scroll top, we will see it. Yeah, works as well, but doesn't look too good. So I would recommend to play around with that number as well a bit more. And now we're able to move even further into the image, and at the bottom we will have the usual parallax effect. So that's really what you see in most of the applications. I don't know why we sometimes see this little white bar here right when we start. So with a little bit of repositioning or changing the values, we could even change that. But in general, this is already the parallax effect that we wanted to accomplish inside our application. So I hope you enjoyed this rather short quick win today, but it's really a cool thing that I used already in the past in client applications, because it really makes an ordinary boring screen a lot cooler, a lot more fancy, and it's really just a cool thing to have in your application. And as you can see, the implementation is so easy that you can do it in like 10 minutes. So hopefully this works in your application, and if you got applications developed, as always, leave a link below so I can review them in my app review show that happens sometimes on Thursday, actually most of the time, at least once a month. So leave your applications. If it includes parallax effects, I will definitely give you a thumbs up in the review video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and stay subscribed so you get notified about all the new tutorials, quick wins, and other app development and web development videos on this channel. If you want to learn more about Ionic with in-depth courses, a community of like-minded developers so you can learn and build your apps faster, you should definitely check out the Ionic Academy, which is my code school to help you with everything Ionic, with a huge library of courses, material, and a supportive Slack channel so we can get your app out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you inside the next video. Have a great day and happy coding. Simon.